there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the South Star Classroom. I'm Dr. Cole, joined by the beautiful and great Jubilee Ransom, and that's David Castillo. I think Omar is with us today at some point. I don't know. He might be somewhere jetting over the world. He's a secret spy. He works with 007 in them. I think he's 009,
Yep.
So we cannot disclose his location. But today will be a special day and episode. But before I get into that, in honor of our lovely Jubilee, kick us off. How are you doing today, Jubilee? Give us your check-in.
Thank you so much for asking. I'm so surprised that you even asked me that. It's like, I'm just so surprised. I'm feeling really, really great today. So two things. I have been accepted into the doctoral program at the University of Maryland.
Congratulations. Yeah. And not doctorio, right? Not like our girl out here, right? They've been on Miss Dr. Bryant's back about it. So yeah.
Tearing her to shreds, and I guess rightly so. If you didn't earn that, I think that's a problem. But yeah, so to be a Doctor of Education program for systems leadership, which is really intriguing to me, and I'll be starting this fall. And secondly, thank you. My beloved son Sydney, who just won his election, was accepted into Steve Harvey's male mentorship program.
Nice.
What?
So yeah, I was like
Making moves.
So I was like,
Ransom family is out here like just celebrities and doing things.
Man.
I mean, 4 days on the Steve and Marjorie Harvey ranch, somewhere in Atlanta.
I think Charlamagne goes out and supports. There's a bunch of celebrities that go out and show love every year that they do it. So yeah,
I love it. Yeah, so we were told that there's like 14,000 applications a year, and his mentorship program is connected, so he was able to do what he had to do, his application, and they selected him. So really grateful. No cell phones, 4 days. And so I'll be going out there next month for the closing ceremony. So that's my check-in. I'm feeling really good, and I'm just celebrating today.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. How you doing, David?
Wow. Not as good as Jubilee, apparently. And that's fine. But congratulations, Jubilee. That's both on the personal front and with your son. That's really exciting stuff to hear. So we'll be following up on that. We're doing good. Just quick check-in. We're adding a member to the family tomorrow. We got a kitten. People, calm down. It's just a kitten. We have a cat and we have a dog.
You say you got a kid and that's what you got?
No. We have a cat and a dog currently, and now we're adding another kitten. Because I don't know if you heard, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. It was like one of the largest ever like animal rescue operations that happened here in our local mountains about 2 weeks ago. Like upwards of almost 1,000 animals, everything from horses to chickens to cats to dogs, criminal investigation, just crazy. So that's a lot of animals into an already like overloaded system for our humane society and shelters. And so we are just, we're going to pick one up that's not part of that, but that is, would you say, helping the system to kind of, to make room for other animals, right? So doing our part there. I'm sure maybe next week you'll have a viewing. It's gonna throw the whole house into chaos, I'm telling you. And then just wanted to say, I'm sure you heard about the shooting yesterday. So just here in San Diego at the Islamic Center, it's really close to where I grew up at. So I'm very familiar with that neighborhood and that community. And so just, prayers and healing energy to the Islamic community in San Diego. I mean, there were young people were involved. I mean, I don't think any children were shot and killed, but, they were evacuated from that school when the shooting happened. And that's like trauma for those little babies. So, it's a crazy world that we're living in. It's sad that these places need to have armed guards. But in this instant, the armed guard that was very well respected in the community, he lost his life, but he probably saved, possibly dozens of others. So just a sad state of affairs. But just wanted to sending prayers and healing energy to the community.
Man, well, sorry to hear that. I will say, geez, I don't want to follow up any of these check-ins. But I'm just happy about basketball. Victor Wembanyama is here. That game last night was just it's like for people that it's like being able to see Wilt Chamberlain and Steph Curry mashed into one person.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he pulled up from the logo to send the game into double overtime last night. He had 41 points and 24 rebounds in his debut game. It has not been done in a debut since Wilt Chamberlain. So we're in a new era. I'm a basketball guy. I played ball for a long time at a high level. So I'm excited. I rarely bring hoop stuff here, but and we got Omar. Omar, we just doing really quick check-ins to get to our guests. How you doing, boss?
Howdy. Good to see you all.
I like
you
to
can skip over me. I'm great. Happy to get into the guest.
Okay, well, we got a special guest, and
yeah, we do.
I'm really, really happy to have her. You know, in conference today, we get to be in conversation with somebody who decided that if the system wasn't going to come to the community, then the community was going to build its own solution. This woman is a really dear friend of mine. We actually are very close. I don't like a lot of people. I love this woman. She loves me. We give each other a hard time, but in real life, she's been there for me when I needed her and vice versa. I'm just very proud of her. I have a beautiful intro and everything here, but you know, F this intro. I know her for real. Let me run down some of her stats though. You know, she's a Philly native. She will remind you that of a few times. She's a founding member of Educational Opportunities for Family. She's a former KIP board member, and she's a grandmother of 7 who turned that title into a movement. She is the founder of Grandmas for Literacy, which is a coalition working at the intersection of intergenerational relationships, cultural identity, and early childhood reading. I remember doing some research about the importance of intergenerational relationships and how they can be transformative. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, my friend and yours, Miss Mama Toya Gigi Algarin. How you doing, Toya?
Fine. How are you?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We're so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm like really excited. Really excited. Actually, what I want to say is happy birthday to Malcolm X.
Yes.
His birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a piece I was going to read from Krim, who wrote about what Malcolm X means today. So it's on my list of things to read before the day is over. But how you doing, sister?
I'm doing good. I had a long day today, starting out at the polls. Okay. And I was, out there for Chris Johnson. Hopefully he'll win. He's running for the congressional seat in the 200th district. Nice. So I was out there, and then I went to a workshop for nonprofit leaders, and I'm here.
Well, we love having you here. So thank you for being here with us. You look beautiful. The glasses look great. And I'm very honored to be able to do this with somebody I admire and a really good friend. So I got you. I want to jump right in though, right? Because you run this incredible organization called Grandmas for Literacy. And the first question that just kind of kicks us off is, why grandmothers? Like, why do they bring, what do they bring to this literacy work and getting kids to read that the system doesn't?
Well, if you read like articles that I've written and stuff about me, I always start with, it started in 1929 when my mother was born, right? She was born in 1929. She never graduated from high school. However, she became the judge of elections, right? So despite her not graduating, she always was my strength, right? And she actually raised my kids while I worked and did my career. So fast forward to now, okay, I'm help raising my kids' kids. You know what I mean? So grandmothers, they are natural leaders in our community, despite what others think, for one, okay? And I feel like I'm walking in my purpose. Because I am a grandmother. Because for a while, we were the aunties, the 3 woke aunties. But now that I have 8 grandkids, 8, right? I have 3 kids and
a lot
all
of
have
grandkids.
Huh?
It's a lot of grandkids. Continue. Yeah.
I know everybody's like, there's a lot of grandkids, but I love them all. You know, so and grandmothers, they do a lot with, when you think about a grandmother, first thing that comes to your face is a smile, right?
Mhm.
You know, you get that laughter, you feel good inside, you feel that warmth. And I find that, like, now that I work in a school and I'm working with kids, with children, it's like, it's an effect. It's the grandmother effect, being in that classroom or being in that school. You can catch me in the mornings. I'll be at Wawa buying my coffee and getting some lunches.
Mhm.
You know, I'm walking in, I'm parking my car. The boys who are like, hear the bell and don't come, I'm out there throwing the football with them. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, I'm walking in my purpose. And grandmothers historically raised the children while you know, the parents worked. And that's what we do. The other thing about being a grandmother, I can keep going, right? But the other thing about being a grandmother is we are the bearers of our culture. We're the bearers of our family. We're the ones that know the history.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, team, jump on in, man. Let's start with Ju, because y'all was bonding and all that good stuff backstage. So I gotta throw it to ladies first.
Yay!
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this episode is gonna make me cry. You know, it doesn't take much because
it don't, not at all.
It doesn't take much, but but everything don't make me cry. Thank you very much, Charles.
Cry me a river.
Oh my good, cry me a river.
Cry my ass a river.
Oh my
God! Cursing already? You're cursing already?
Mm-hmm. Always.
I'm like,
I don't speak normally. That's what I do.
Oh my goodness! Are you giving my grandkids are watching?
Listen,
are you giving Omar
Mama Toya, immense amount of love and immense amount of respect, but your grandkids need to start watching Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, and Chris Rock ASAP.
Her grandkids grew up in Philadelphia. You ain't about to say nothing they ain't heard. But
that's what I thought.
But Jubilee, we can't step on Jubilee talking. Oh, the crowd will come for us. So Jubilee,
I didn't know that, but thank you, crowd. But
it's all good. Finish your statement, Jube.
This is really timely. I spoke with my grandma this morning, and I went on a search for her because she lives on the other side of the world, and we got all my siblings on the call and we were chatting with grandma. And my brother said to her, I was thinking that we could have one of your great grands interview you so you can talk to us about the history and we can get that recorded, And she starts to reflect. And so what you just said about like grandmothers being the bearers of culture, passing down tradition, like that is key. And when I think about my grandmother who passed on, my mother's mother, yes, we were home with her. She was teaching us how to multiply, how to find scriptures in the Bible, right? How to observe Good Friday and how it should be a solemn, holy day, right? How to cross the street. And, so that's what makes me a little, emotional about it because it's a powerful, powerful role. And I think about my mom and my bonus mom and how they step in for my children. So it is really a powerful and pivotal role if you're blessed to have a grandmother still alive. So
that's dope, man. David, I know, your thoughts on why grandmothers and just what Miss Toya said. We'll dive into the how in the next question, but just of this grandparents kind of leading this thing, teaching their community how to read. Like, what is that doing for you as a, you're David. You led schools.
I mean, my grandmothers. I mean, they helped to raise me. My mother helped to raise our children. And just like last weekend, I was with my sister who's helping to raise, her daughter's children. It's like this. I've seen 3 generations of it. I was part of one, and then my generation, and now the next generation. So, to identify grandmothers, to put them in a central role of, not just teaching all the things that they already naturally teach, but like to be at the center of like literacy and storytelling. I mean, I don't want to say it's a no-brainer, but I'm really excited to hear more about what it actually looks like.
Okay. All right. And before, I'm calling, I can't see you, but I wanted to make sure you good and still with us. Any, what's your thoughts on this, man?
So without going too far and I'm going to use my mother as a better example. I didn't know my father's mother. She passed away before I was born, and I heard she was quite exceptional and funny and tiny and drove a car, and she was so small and independent, but when she drove a car, like you couldn't see her head, so it looked like the invisible person driving the car. I think about my mom, because my mom got to be a grandmother, is still a grandmother for my niece, and that was my first, I think, real in-depth look into what I believe a grandmother should be. And I thought that it hinged on three pivotal components. One, I think, is culturally, and Jubilee referenced it earlier, these are the purveyors of our culture. And that's insanely important. And, you know, whether it's Mexican culture, Lebanese culture, or Black culture, which I think is it should be a course taught to everybody, is the beauty of Black culture, is these are the purveyors who carry these things on so that younger generations understand the shoulders that they're standing on, the lessons that were learned, conditions that we all had to go through in order for them to understand, okay, I'm picking up this baton, this mantle, and I'm carrying it forward. You know, I've had to do that for a lot of kids, sadly, because I don't think that they know where they come from. I was like, do you have an understanding of what people went through in order for you to sit in a classroom, in an air-conditioned classroom, and read? Any idea what people before you had to go through? And I've had to educate them in our school, and I was just like, damn, man, where's your grandparents? And sadly, like, a lot of them either had passed away, didn't share those lessons. I mean, that's the importance of the grandparent, is just how unbelievably contingent they are on creating that fabric. Two, I think that grandparents, I don't particularly like how United States views the elderly. In Spain, in Japan, in Italy, in South America, dude, the elders are held in ludicrous respect. Mm-hmm. It's the elders, dude. They have the knowledge. They're Yoda. That's the respect that they've got, man. And that's what I think of these elders. I look at Mama Toya and I see, like, you know, not for appearance sakes, but in brilliance sakes, Yoda. Like, that's the brain, that's the knowledge, that's the force. Like, when they talk, you listen, because they have something extraordinarily wise to say. And the thing that kills me about the States is like, damn, man, read Plato. Like, read Aristotle. All they ever talk about are the elders and how they're the purveyors of wisdom. So I think that the grandparents carry a level of wisdom and experience that even I don't have. Like, if she talks, I'm listening. In fact, I'm talking too much damn right now. You know what I'm saying? But I think the third is really about, it's an extraordinarily important maternal figurehead. Because you're right, like, my niece has spent this immeasurable amount of time with my mom, her grandmother. And it has been about the teaching of the culture. It has been about the legacy, but it's also been about carrying on this, like, very beautiful pattern of maternal knowledge, maternal instincts, maternal experience that we hope carries on in future generations. And what I mean by that, I mean like caring, love, empathy, understanding, critical thinking. Like, these are like crazy skills, and I want to see them passed on.
Yeah. Well, so, as we go to the next question, I think, you know, Toya and I we've bonded over this before. I think she knows how close I was with my grandmother. I lost all my grandparents very young, but I was raised with my grandmother until she passed away. And I love the Lord because of my grandmother. My grandmother is my favorite person in the world, by far, a mile. I love my parents, but you're not catching those boots. It's just never gonna happen. And we would sit there and she'd watch Golden. I could rock with Golden Girls and Mama's Family. I couldn't do Days of Our Lives and shit. I couldn't do that. But Golden Girls, I know every episode because of Ozetta Hooper. And she'd sit there and she would crochet, which this person seems to have something in common with. So what
Yeah.
I'd like for you to do, Miss Toya,
Good for the mind.
but walk us through what actually happens in your sessions, and how does, you know, crocheting even fit into any of this story? And I'll sit out on this one because, again, I had one of those grandmothers who would sit there and make beanies and sweat. Most of the time I didn't know what she was crocheting. It just was, she was just doing it. You know, she just started and wherever she finished. So Toya, talk us through this. What happens in y'all sessions? How do you train these grannies, and how do y'all incorporate this crocheting thing?
Okay, so first of all, we're not grannies. We're gorgeous grandmas. Okay?
Grandmas. What's wrong with granny? That's regional. I say granny affectionately.
There's so much there. Okay, so first of all,
I'll say grandma, but I said it with love.
All right,
go ahead.
That's fine. I really don't care because I'm walking in my purpose, and I know. But I'd rather be gorgeous. I gotta be gorgeous because I'm not one of those grandmas with the
grannies
bun.
can't be gorgeous. My granny was a granny and gorgeous as hell. What we doing?
Yeah. You know what?
It's a hot topic. It's a hot topic.
What about that one grandma and Golden Girls like?
They got
constant?
grandma, they got Gigi, they got
you know she wasn't even the oldest you know she wasn't even the oldest in the cast, right?
Man, she was
younger than B. Arthur.
She was living
anyway.
her
Sorry,
purpose,
random stuff. Go ahead, Toya. We're gonna interrupt you a few times. It's in love.
Okay, I'm gonna start off with the crochet portion, right? First of all, this is just one pilot of what Grandmothers for Literacy does. Just one thing, one program. But way back, my son was hit by a car, right? And was like, I was getting this one right. This is the one I was like getting right, like literally from the beginning, you know, using my agency. We were at KIP, blah, blah, blah. First day, 10th grade, while he was, I have to tell the story, so funny. While he was going to school, he was hit by a car. Yeah, we lived down the street from like one of those highfalutin high schools that's a special MIT school. And that school's in a 99% black neighborhood and has less than 10% of the black children attending it. You know, one of those. Right? Anyway, so when he was hit, we spent a considerable amount of time in the hospital. So to get through the trauma, I started crocheting. Right. And then I was like, wow. And you know what's so funny? Check it out. When it came to my idea, and I mean, to my head, maybe I should crochet with kids in schools, right? So the first person I go to is Sharif El-Mekki. I'm like, yo, Sharif, what do you think about this idea? Like, you know, crocheting with kids in schools, bringing like, it's like trauma relief, you know? And he was like, oh, you start Monday. Okay. You start Monday. So
yeah.
That was in 2017. So it's almost been 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Right. It's almost been 10 years since I've been running, you know, after school programs. And I've watched like girls and boys blossom. Right. So when you look at my program now, I took it up another 10 notches. What we do is first we go into a room, and it's middle school, and we go in, turn the lights off, we do some mindfulness so they can get into the moment, and then we start crocheting and learning a lesson, right? So at this point, and I have another partner that works for me. She owns her own, she's a scientist at this, right? And she owns her own yarn store. It's called Love to Knit and More, and we partnered together. So what she tells me is, which I didn't really realize, is like it's your left side of your brain and your right side of your brain working, right? And it's building new pathways when you crochet. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this whole thing going on, and guess what the girls don't have? Their phones. You know? So I work with them for like 95 minutes. So the first like 45 minutes, we're crocheting, we're learning a new lesson and all that good stuff. The second portion, what we do is we read out loud, right? So these kids are in 4th, 5th, 6th, sometimes 7th, right? And we're reading all these books. And when they're reading and crocheting, it's almost like blending, you know, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's the same thing, like the rhythm. But when you're reading out loud, Of course, I'm, the teacher. I'm sitting back. I'm like the teacher, and I'm asking questions the whole time, right? I pick out some vocabulary words, so we get vocabulary. We're getting background knowledge. We're getting critical thinking skills, right? And comprehension. It's a thing, y'all. It's a thing. And sometimes the girls love it, sometimes they don't. But guess what they're going to do, right? And the thing about it is, like, in that class we have our one of our goals or one of our values is each one teach one. So we have struggling readers reading with not, with great readers. I remember I had this one girl, right? She was amazing. All you did was see her with a book. Amazing to me is reading a book all the time, right? So she's reading a book all the time. She came into my class and she's not really sociable, but she's a reader, right? Then I got all my sociable girls who don't read. And the way we like just grooved, with being able to help each other get through a paragraph or get through a page or whatever. It was great. And at the end of that program, she was more sociable because she didn't want to read out loud. And I'm like, what do you mean? You're the best reader here. You don't even want to walk around with a book, But she was not going to read out loud. And then she finally did it. And when I told her mom was like, oh my God, she read out loud in front of everybody. I was like, yes. You know what I mean? And then you got the better readers struggling through a word, trying to, we're helping them through the word and the vocabulary and what that word means. But another part of what I do is a lot of times we're reading banned books.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? We everybody knows who Rosa Parks is, but do they know who Claudette Colvin is? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, some politics, just to see how they, not to frame their mind, to tell them the true history. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a thing, guys. I'm so excited. Incredible. And right now, if you look at the science of reading and that whole thing that's going on, kids are blending. Kids are able to read the words, but they're not comprehending. That's the next thing. They're not like in that moment. So you can read a word, but do you know what it said? Do you know what it means? Yep. And then what's the difference between a pail and a bucket? You know what I mean? So, and I'm learning with them. That's the one thing that I do all the time is like, I learn with them. Gigi don't know that word either. We want to go on YouTube and see how it's pronounced. However, just to let you know, you talk about that grandmother effect. Gigi's in school right now, and I'm being trained in Wilson Training. So I'm learning, they're learning. I mean, it's a great match.
That's beautiful.
And Cole, I don't know if you want me to be quiet or not, but the one thing
you're the guest. You talk as much as you want.
Yep.
You're good.
Yep.
Okay, so you were talking about before. So this is your plug, Cole. Dr. Oakland.
Okay.
This is your plug, Oakland. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So when I watched the 8 Black Hands for so long, you guys always had those darn quotes. I was like, I got to quote something. I want y'all to know that Cole put like a match underneath me, got me all fired up. And then he trained me. And one thing, my go-to is your interviews with Dr. Fuller. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like literally. And that intergenerational, that one episode I must have saw 1,000 times, right? Because I listened to how, that relationship goes together. And that's how I form the values that are in my Grandmothers for Literacy. That intergenerational love, like Dr. Fuller says, I got the wisdom. Yup, I might have tried it, but you guys got the new tools. And I add on, y'all can do it a lot faster than Gigi. Thank God for AI. Okay. Thank God for AI, because I don't know what the doc is. What is, you know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway, but that interview with him and like you gave him homage, right? You wanted to keep him going. You did that for me with, you know what he did, y'all? Oh my God. Oh my God. Let me just tell you something. First of all, he gave us the hardest damn book to read. I haven't read a book like that in my life. I mean, in a while. You know, I was like, that was almost 5-6 years ago. It was the what was it?
Education of Blacks in the South. I'm sorry. You
the
asked.
Education of Blacks in the South from 1865 to 1930.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
All right. So that's exactly. And I'm in this book and I'm like, before the meeting starts, we might pop on. I'm like, yo, you know, there's a bunch of doctors in here, some teachers in here. Like, don't call on me because I don't know nothing. Right. And he was like, I beg to differ because you may be the oldest one in this group and you do know something because you've raised kids.
That's right.
Like, I do. You know what I'm saying? I do. So it was like that fire, you know, just got me going. So thank you, Dr. Charles Cole.
No problem. No problem at all. And as we kind of continue to ask you questions and kind of go in this, I do appreciate that. But I think the way that even you talked about embracing AI just now or utilizing tools, like, you know, I think the fact that you wanted to do this thing is so inspirational to people that might be sitting at home talking about what they would do or how somebody else does it. And then you actually had the courage to go do it. And now you have a full organization and there seems to be a lot of support. So if you guys are supportive of her, please drop these likes, get us some hearts, share this so people can see her conversation and ask her the questions. So if you want to know if they want a grandma's for literacy in their area, what has to happen or how they do it, put that in the chat. But let me open it up to the group. You know, Mama Toya just said a bunch. I just wanted to, I'm not going to call on you all like a panel. People jump in.
No, I got a question, man. So I always think about research and comparison groups. Like you've got something really killer going on here, right? Like you're breaking kids out of shells, you're getting kids literate, you're teaching, I think, really cool communication skills, even just through the crocheting, right? Like it's not only a neurological thing, but like people talking. It's like, it's a really cool activity to do, especially for someone like ADHD me, who's like, oh, this gives me something to occupy so that I can listen more intently. Have you thought about running a little bit of a, like just an experiment, a control group, being like, hey, let me look at these, 12 kids who are of this age, and let me look at similar kids, similar grades, similar trajectory, similar everything that are in seventh grade, and run in like kind of a 3-year and be like, what are their scores like after 3 years? What are their skill sets like after 3 years? What are their people skills like after 3 years? Because like it wouldn't take much for Doc, David Jubilee and I to run a quick interview with someone within the group and someone outside of the group and be like, okay, how are your communication skills? How are you able to speak to an adult who's a bit of a stranger with very little prompting, given what you've done and given, I think, what, the control group would be someone who didn't receive what you were doing. Have you thought about that? Have you even just done maybe even like what's it called, like anecdotal evidence? Like if you looked at like your kids compared to maybe some other kids and be like, oh damn, like I think my kids are doing this better than this other group.
Okay, I can answer now.
I mean, hell yeah. God dang, dude.
Yes,
shit.
ma'am.
Okay.
She said you gave a compound question. That's what she's saying. Go ahead.
I know, right? Okay. That sounds really great. And we'll get right on that. And you guys can help me develop it. And we'll start in September. Okay.
Okay.
However, no, literally, I mean, because my next goal is to gather data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could like get more money. Yeah, of course we need data, right? So the other thing with that is I do have testimonies from teachers.
That's awesome.
It's oh wow, she's answering more questions in class. I get that feedback all the time. You know what I mean? I got a testimony. All right, so not only do I crochet with kids in classes, I also tutor kids, right? in classrooms, right? And through this Wilson training, I had to get a practicum student, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the funniest thing is getting a practicum student for Wilson is the hardest thing because they got to fall just right because you got to get through the practicum, you know. And of course, when you go to a teacher and said, I need somebody who's struggling with reader, they might give you 10 people, right? So it's no shorthand of that, right? But anyway, so I ran into, you know, one of my kids that was struggling really bad, who, you know, high frequency words he didn't know and blah, 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 stuff like that, right? And if you I look at Dr. Fuller all the time, I'm going back to him. I got to, right? I'm gonna go to what he says. He says only an idiot would think that if a child goes to school and he's coming from trauma, that wouldn't affect the way he learns when he's in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only a child, you know, those children can't learn if they're hungry. Those children can't learn if they're coming from the lights being out, you know, at home. Those children can't learn if dad and mom were fighting last night. Those children can't learn if they don't have like clean shoes. We're not talking about, I'm not bashing parents at all. I'm talking about real life shit. Excuse me. See now, Texas, damn.
Wow, it's rubbing off.
But anyway, I'm talking about real life, you know, circumstances, realities. You understand? So like working with these kids, I have a mom who was just like so happy. She said, "Oh my God, you're Gigi?" I'm like, "Yeah." She said, "My baby is doing so much better." You understand what I'm saying? When a mom comes to you, my baby can read. Yeah. I was like, whoa. That's all I needed to keep going, you know, because I know what it looks like for your child to struggle. I have, and the thing about it is, right, I have receipts, y'all. So I know what it looks like. I know how you can feel no hope, like you won't have any hope because I don't know what to do with this boy. You know, so and if I go back to 1929 when Darce Murray was born, her helping my children, she gave them good character. They're beautiful people. But if she would have had a little bit more resources, maybe I wouldn't have had so many struggles, you know, and I'm not blaming her or anything. So what I'm trying to do is, you know, give those resources to grandmas. Because guess what? 30% of parents in the city of Philadelphia are grandparents. And that's paper. That's not that's a
significant number. That's a lot of people.
That's like over 20,000 kids.
Great.
And guess what, y'all? Guess what? This is the other thing. It goes back to y'all don't got me on the roll. It goes back to what David said, though, right? Or I don't know if it was Omar or David talking about like we don't appreciate the grandmas, you know, elderly people in the world. These grandmas are working in schools. Charles, when I called you, I was like, I gotta get this suggested parent program going because, you know, these grandmas, they don't know what they don't know. Everything's different. You know what I mean? I'm going in there. I'm gonna help everybody I know, including parents. But my role now, because of who I am, I'm a grandparent. So I'm going with the grandparents.
I've got a question. So I spent most of my time teaching and running schools at the high school level, but I did have one extended tenure at a TK through 8 charter school in Oakland, and we developed a pretty intensive like reading program, intervention program. My own son was like he benefited from being, you know, put in small reading groups, and I remember when he could read. So you know, I've been around that like magic when a child learns how to read. It literally changes the physiology of a human being, because they know they've crossed into this next like realm or level. They have access to information now, and then they move from like learning to read to reading to learn. We want that to happen ideally in the early elementary years, you know, but sometimes it happens later. I think I think, it might even be too much of an ask in particular, areas of the country and cities for the regular day staff to take on all of this stuff, given, what you were talking about with trauma and other issues that students are having to deal with in families. But so my question to you is, like, in the after school space, you're working with young people. How closely do you work with school staff? Are they open to working with you all? Are they coming and checking in about their students? Are you reporting back to the regular, teaching staff so you can kind of keep tabs on how students are progressing? What does that look like?
That looks like, well, some of the students that I tutor in schools, I go straight to the teacher. I'm in communication with the teacher all the time. You feel me? Like, yo, how's it going? I don't want nothing else to fail, because, they're getting time with me in the classroom and stuff like that. The after school program, that's a good question. I want you guys to know, when I'm looking down, I'm writing,
You're fine.
Down.
Keep going.
But the thing is, like, so last year we were reading, I don't know what the book was. It was something about sharecroppers, right? And they were answered. I was like, so what's a sharecropper or whatever, right? And they knew it. And then I'm like, damn, wouldn't it be phenomenal if I talk to the teacher, see what the curriculum is, pull out those books.
That's what I'm getting at.
Like
yeah.
a small book reading, like a little book, not like, what they're reading, and partner with the teacher on everything. So I already talked to the teacher. We're going to work on that. We work with, when I saw that, when they said that word, they knew, they were like, oh no, Miss Turner told me about that. And I was like, all right, I need to go talk to Miss Turner. I'm like, all right, so check this out, guys. I'm a grandma. I'm not going to say I'm not a teacher, but you guys have these solutions. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate, everything you're saying. And the funniest thing is, now y'all know what a school looks like. Y'all know how, if it's not like a certain person, they're gonna look at us like the grandmas who's walking the hallways, blah 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 blah. They might not get that. You understand? Or give that respect. Not give the grandmothers respect. And what I'm finding is, when I talk to grandmas, they're not getting training. I'm like, oh, that we can fix that. I'm in school. I'm gonna break that curriculum down. I'm gonna get them simple ways. Like Read by Fourth, who did that article, I'm on their advisory team. We're coming up with a curriculum for parents and readers and blah blah blah. So I'm definitely gonna do what you suggested, David.
Yeah. Before I go to the next question, Jube, I don't know if you want to jump in on anything there. Before I tagged on, I just wanted to, I didn't want to pass you by.
I'm just inspired. I'm just so happy you're here, Toya. Like, my brain is going, and I'm just thinking about, what the will and might of one powerful agentic woman can do. You know what I mean? And that it reminds me that it's not that hard to incite change or to start creating a movement that is helpful for our children. So it makes me think about the systems around our country and why they are failing. It's like you said, you're getting Wilson training. It's like, do you know that our young people that are in college now don't? And why don't they? You're going to school to go be a teacher, but you're not taught sort of the rudimentary pieces of how to teach reading. And it's not because we are not rich in resources, So my brain is going everywhere. And I'm like, how do we get Toya like $3 million so she and her team can like span this across the nation? Because we need this in every school. And I think my brain is going, it's powerful, and it needs to be replicated. And I think we are, as a nation, are not leveraging one of our most precious resources. Honestly, we're saying teachers don't know, and they don't know, and the kids don't listen, and they only want to be on the phone. Well, you just proved that that's not the case. But we've got to give them some kind of support that they can lean on, and some people that actually care about them growing and striving and thriving and all that. So you're proving a lot of things wrong, Toya, and I really hope that you get all the funding you need and all the support you need to really scale this nationwide.
I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm just taking a lot of notes. And Omar, I know you have to leave in a little bit. Do you want to give a final thought or have a final comment or say something to Mama Toya? Because we know y'all have a loving relationship. I know you didn't want to leave without saying bye. So you got it.
I got 3 things to say. One, you look fabulous. So you keep up with. We don't need
We
that
beat
granny
you
talk.
to it, Omar. Me and David beat you.
Gorgeous grandmas, gorgeous grandmas. I'm all for it. Put it on a t-shirt, put it on a bumper sticker. I'm gonna slap it on mine. 2, I am deeply proud that I got you to at least 5 curse words today. I gotta tell you, that is, I counted. It's fantastic. 3, I think it's just beautifully emblematic of, I tend to overcomplicate everything. Look how simple her solutions were. Go talk to the teacher. Right. Go do a book reading with somebody. Talk to your kids. Like, it just is so simple, but those very simple like components make a world of difference. And I just got to thank you for inspiring everybody. Please stay in touch. Come back on the show. We love you, Toya. I'm going to see everybody next week.
All good, man. Be safe.
Peace.
And
bye, Omar.
And
thanks, y'all.
And as we go to this last question, Toya, it's just been so great having you. You know, we love you. You frame this work as self-determination. What does that mean? And like, when I taught you a lot about self-determination and agency. So from your perspective, what does that mean? And what do you want communities to walk away doing after listening to you tonight?
Okay, so when you talk about self-determination, right? I've been in this game because my oldest is 35, right? I've been to Harrisburg, I've been to DC, I've been to the school district, I spoke in front of the school district for 1 year. I built libraries, blah, 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 blah. Well, Gigi is now 64 years old. Okay. Right. I'm going to leave that for the youngins. And I'm going to teach these kids stitch by stitch and word by word, and I'm not going to leave it to the same people who are trying to decide who's going to win the reading wars. Who's going to who's going to win? I don't have time for that. I ain't had time for that when my kids were in school, right? Now I got 8 grandkids. I'd be damned if one of them not going to be able to read. You understand? So self-determination also goes back to, and this, this is something else I got from Sharif, because you're right. You guys totally poured into me, right? It was, be honest with you, y'all could call me Dr. Gigi, okay? Because I got my certificate, because I got math
we
right
say
here.
Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, so might as well continue,
Dr. Gigi, because who showed me this was Sharif, when he always talks about where he got his learning from. Beside the school. It was on the front porch. When they came home from school, they were doing book reports. They were reading. It was the aunties teaching. It was the moms. So why would I leave it? Now I get it. And I'm 64, but now I get it. It's in my hands. How many books did we read, Charles, where, one person in that family could read and they were reading to the uncles and was that Carter G? Was that Frederick Douglass? One of them. You know what I mean? They all, like, reading was so important. Not only that, was self-determination. It's like my mom passed away. My mom passed away. But guess what she taught me? Education was the most important thing in the world, right? I remember that. I still say it. And you should see my library now. It's huge. So I got to take this by the hand. I can't leave my legacy to not being able to read or going back. You know what I mean? So self-determination, I got like 5. Oh, you know what? That fire, you remember that fire you started, Cole? It just went to a 3 alarm. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's why, like, yup. And then, I listened to my pastor, and he talks about like, yo, this is our generation. Like, we were in charge. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we were in charge with this. So what you gonna do about it? All those books, what you gonna do now till you got the knowledge? Right? Now that you had the knowledge, what are you gonna do about it? So I just knew, the thing is this: take your resources, who you are, right? Pull them together and take the talents that God gave you and give them back.
Now tell them how to start though, right? Because that was something that you used to struggle with early on too. And just like, when we would push, or I would push you, like, just like, so that for people that think they got a good idea, but then they get a little insecure about it. So they kind of go back into their shell. How did you start? You crossed the threshold, you crossed the line. How did Gigi start so that somebody may hear that and it activates them?
So I'm gonna be very honest with you. It took a lot of I got a lot of training. I just went back to school. I'm talking about leadership training. I've been a leader all my life. You know what I mean? I just poured into me. Walked away from naysayers because I'm sober anyway. So walked away from the that's a whole nother story, but walked away from the naysayers and the things that would pull me down, and then pulled out nobody's gonna know what that is, a Rolodex, because I got everybody's number. And I know a lot of people, and it's about the resources. Don't be like I said earlier, like, parents are, it's like in your book too, Charles, all this stuff is coming to my head, it's like in that first chapter in the Agentic Parent, don't feel bad about yourself, right? Keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? That's what you say in there, even though your experience is not, wasn't good in school, but you can redo this, or you can you know what I'm saying? It's like pouring into yourself, so I do a lot of that.
We're so proud of you.
God's mercy. Okay.
And Jube, don't lose it, Jube. You're coming in right after this, but I got to push her on this. How can people that's listening support you or find you, whatever, promote so people can support? There might be somebody with a check out there for you. So how do they get to you? How do they support you?
Okay. All right. So Gigi is always so busy doing the work that she still has opportunity. All right. So one of my biggest things I'm doing right now is I have Josh. He's going to put me together for social media.
So y'all don't know, Josh does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. It's Chris Stewart's son. He's really good with technology. Continue. He's a very smart young man. Continue.
Oh, it's going to be brilliant.
I got you.
He's about to build me out. You can find me on LinkedIn under Toya Algarin and just inbox me. That's what I'll say for now. Okay. You know what I mean? Toya Algarin. But if you look for grandmothers for literacy, it's a 4. It's not FOUR at all. Okay. That's a whole nother grandma's doing the work, which is fine with me. I don't care if they have 1,000.
Oh, there's another okay. There's other ones with similar names. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Go ahead and jump in, Jube, and let's start thinking about our final thoughts and things as well.
Yeah, I'll ask my question and go into my final thought. But so for the grandma, the granny, the meemaw, the mimi, what all the other, such a hot topic with what to be called, grandma, who feels like they are carrying just a lot of weight, or my time is over, I done raised my kids, I done did what I had to do. Look, these kids, they just in a place that's they're kind of disengaged or disconnected from that part, right? They're gonna cook, they're gonna make the ham hocks, and they're gonna make, the mac and cheese and all that, but they're not gonna cross over into that because maybe they didn't finish school themselves, right? So you got those that they didn't finish high school or middle school or whatever the case may be, or they have certain beliefs that are, that are not supportive of like grandma's entering into that space, right? And let's just say that today you kind of sparked a flame, right? You ignited them a bit. Where should a person like that or a grandma like that begin this journey? What is one thing you would advise or recommend that they do like tomorrow?
Find somebody like Charles. Find somebody like find community.
Find Charles, everyone. Find Charles.
Oh Lord.
555
All right. No. Check this out though. That's one. Because I'm gonna take what I got from there was Charles believed in me.
Gotcha.
Charles believed in my power,
Mhm.
right? So have somebody believe in your power. The person who really got me started, her name is Lindsay, and she worked with the Grandmother Collective. I thought I was done. I'm not gonna lie. It was, but she sat and talked to me. She's like, you know, where I met her was on the playground, and I was like, yo, Lindsay, you know, your listen to this. Your daughter listens to me, right? She said, why? I said, because I'm a grandma. And you know what she said? She said, oh, I just happen to run the Grandmother Collective, and we're a nonprofit that highlights grandmothers doing social work, social justice work, right?
Mhm.
So you can find community, find like-minded community, and don't ever think that it's over. Like I did when my mom died, I was done. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, I'm next, blah, blah, blah. My sister's 82, my brother's 80. But I looked at my brother when he was my age. Both of them still look good, first of all. Second of all, you know, they laid back now, but they weren't, and when they were my age, they were still doing the work. They still had junk left in the trunk. You know what I mean? I still got things to say. In fact, just to let you know, and if you find me on Facebook and Instagram, I'm about to do a campaign that grandmothers have something to say. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just believe in yourself. It's not over.
That's lovely. Did you have your final thought in there, Jube? Or
Yeah, let's keep going, and thank you for giving us something else to believe in. That it's always taken a village. You know, I think perhaps we have underestimated, you know, who should be in that village on this side, right? Not just as caretakers and babysitters, but as educators and as leaders and as those that are conversing and involved in this forum that is education. So thank you for all you do. I can't wait to find out new ways that I'm able to support you and spread your message and information about your organization and your work. I'm excited for you, and thanks for being on the show today.
yeah. And David, same to you. You know, even lessons that you might have heard and all that good stuff, brother. But you know, your reactions and rolling your final thoughts.
Definitely. Thank you. I'm gonna leave this comment up real quick.
Got you.
I think this is a very powerful comment. Volunteer in school. Start small. You know, whatever that looks like. It might be volunteering to support a club, volunteering with your kids' teachers to read in the classroom, or to do to work lunch or whatever it is. It's like you got to get your foot in the door, and I totally understand. Sometimes that can be difficult because sometimes schools are not like so easy to like make it for us to be able to volunteer. But like with persistence, once you get your foot in the door, I think you'll find most people is that more opportunity will come, right? More volunteer opportunities, and all of a sudden you become part of the fabric of the school, and you become you know, a known entity, and then things start to unravel or happen from there. So I wanted to shout out that comment. I think going back to the discussion around self-determination, I think of, I don't know if it was you, Charles, or if it was Howard Fuller, but some kind of quote about like, we're on our own, right? The Superman's not coming, the cavalry's not coming. And that's fine because we are here, right? We're here, we're in communities, we have grandmothers, we have parents, we have community members, we have elders with so much knowledge, right? So much knowledge. It's just like, how can we set up systems to put elders, grandparents, grandmothers, you know, in those positions to be able to like, you know, teach and not necessarily at scale, but like, you know, to work with like more kids, because more kids, you know, benefit from that. You know, the solutions are not going to come from some outside entity. We have the solutions in our own community. What we do need, you know, is like funding to support our initiatives that we create. That's for real. This all reminds me of initiative that I'm part of right now in San Diego, to redesign spaces for play in low-income areas of San Diego City, Southeast San Diego. And we just like redesigned a park here in Southeast San Diego and had a kickoff on Saturday. And it was brilliant. It was all local community members that had been living generationally around this particular park, Willie Henderson Park. But it was fully done by the community, for sure. Needed outside money, outside funding. That's just the reality of the world that we're living in. But the knowledge, the passion, the care is in the community. That's where it starts. So thank you so much for joining our show today. Super inspirational.
Yeah, and before I go, like you want to respond, Toya, and you can add in your final thoughts as well. Then I'll close us out with mine if you like.
I just want to say thank you and a few things. Like, as a grandmother, getting into school's not hard if you bring apples or you bring oranges, bring baked bread, okay? Like baked bread, whatever. You do that at the beginning of the school, the middle, you can get in as a grandmother. Also, right? Even if you cannot read, your presence alone,
yes,
in that school, first of all, the climate control, the people who do the climate and all that, they're good at it. I love them. I couldn't do it without them. But when grandma walks in there and gives them lollipops out daily, I'm the one who can turn around and say, boy, get over here and pull them damn pants up. Or I can't say damn, I'm sorry. I don't say that in school.
Keep going. And I need this dog to stop taking over Jubilee Square, but continue.
I'm just saying, like,
with this dog.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm just saying, like, I was looking for my cat when I saw that dog.
This dog kicking her ass. Continue.
I'm just saying, like it's a thing. Your presence is a thing, and I feel, I'll be very honest with you, I feel really good to be that thing, and as much pleasure as that mom got when she said, my baby's reading, I got, because I had a purpose. He gives me a purpose as well. My kids moved out, they got their own lives, blah, blah, blah. I'm happy they're gone, Lord Jesus. However, it can be very lonely at times. When you see him holidays, maybe only holidays, but pouring, and then again, tell these parents, like, some of the mistakes that you made, you can write them. You know what I'm saying? I tell those parents all the time, I'm like, yo, I did this really right and really wrong. You wrong with this one. You know what I mean? Or you right with this one. You did a good job. Both of it. Parents need that. I mean, yeah, just being in that school, it's a thing. It's a thing.
I got you. Well,
and my final thought is this.
Okay.
In the words of Chris Stewart, the revolution will be literate.
Amen.
There you go. There you go. I will let Chris know that you gave him that quote. I learned a lot. We learned a lot talking to you. I'm gonna just some notes that I took. One, pull on the wisdom of elders, both the grandmothers and the grandfathers, and let them be them. Like, how dope would it be if you let some grandmothers, be in charge of the cultural exchange that week that sometimes they do. If you think about a super dope Mexican grandmother, Italian grandmother, and a black grandmother, and they do a different quiz. I mean, come on, man. Like and also some of these grandparents, like wood shop is something that's been sorely missing, knowing how to build things. Like, I think when you look at it on paper, it's like, oh, crocheting, but you don't know what crocheting opens up. I remember being a kid, and this old white lady came into the school with all these black kids, and she loved line dancing, and we laughed, and by the time she was done that semester, them kids loved line dancing. Like, they were just, and then the black kids learned about Chicago and step in and that culture. And like, they was looking for places to go do that line dancing. The other thing, Toya, on a personal note, I love you. I'm not close to everybody. It's two women that I give this type of access and that I just love. That's Sarah Carpenter of Memphis Lift, and that's you. And I think that, you've shown me nothing but love and gratitude and push me where I need to be pushed. And you know, hopefully I've been as good of a friend to you. You know, I don't know if everybody else can't go out and I don't tell you no. I say no to everything else, but I will say this is beautiful what you did. And I think when people are not focused on the money and what it's going to cost, and just there are just certain things that you do, I do think resources can have a way of finding you. I truly do. And I hope you continue to do it. I hope that you're not trying to be perfect when you do it. I thought what Omar said was actually really beautiful, but it pointed out something for us. You do what you do and you let people like a Omar or me come in and do all that fancy stuff. Like I would happily write you up a process for, you know, oral histories to capture what it is that you all are doing. It's not very difficult for me, and you don't need to learn how to do that. You just need to do what nobody else can do, which is what you're doing. And also Jubilee, Omar, and David, I just think, you know, I think the level of respect that y'all garner in the community and your answers, especially you, David, as somebody that led a school and just been like, hey, let me slow y'all down, volunteer and read a book, you know, come in and do this. Marissa, shout out to Marissa. That's the homie as well. She said, you know, if you undocumented, it might be a little more difficult. I hear that. There's other ways. If we doing something at the church, the church ain't asking for, you know what I'm saying? Take this stuff outside the school building. But Gigi, you are where you are because God put you there. You deserve to be there. And I think that's the biggest thing we had to get over was feeling worthy. And I'm just saying for the people that live there, that's living this and watching this and confused, if you can do something, you know, and we're glad that we have an example of you. I'm sure I speak for everybody when I say we love you and you are welcome back. And Bill did a great job last week. You did a great job this week. We're going to keep the guests coming. So if you're somebody that's watching and interested, please reach out and we will make sure you're taken care of and we'll get you in here. You are dying to say something. So go ahead, Toya, and I will close after you finish this. This is called elder privilege, everybody. And when you get there, use it. Continue, love.
The funniest thing is one of my board members was like, ask for donations.
That's
right.
right.
You have to do that when you run an organization.
And make sure it's food.
Yes.
Because I spend a lot of money on food. I mean, I spend a lot of money on food. But yeah.
Where's the link to donate?
Just send me inbox me on
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Thank you so much. It'll come to me. That's why I say now, because I'm getting to that age. It'll come to me. LinkedIn. Yeah. Just inbox me and I'll send it out.
It's all good, man. You know, and since we called on Sharif's name a lot, one of the things Sharif will end shows with, and David also says as well, you can always look at a village or a town, and the question would be, how are the elders and how are the children? And so how we take care of our elders is a huge reflection of our values and our systems. But with that being said, for Omar, that's Toya, that's Jubilee, that's David. I'm Charles Cole, and we're so happy to have had you. We will see you all next week, same bat time, same bat station. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. God bless and peace out.